Everyone in the village feared me, even before I could walk. My name is Amina, but my grandfather, a well-known priest, named me Ailaurun on a rainy night before I was even born. He stood outside, gazing up at the sky, and told my father to call me that. The next morning, he died. And that same day, I came into the world. I was different from the start. I had glowing deep blue eyes and hair as white as wool. When I was just a baby, the whole village came to see me. Some said I was a rebirth of a goddess. Others were not so kind. They whispered about doom and disaster. As I grew up, strange things began to happen. When I played outside, animals would stare at me with wild eyes, then run away. The weather would change whenever I was upset, a sudden storm or an unexpected chill. I could feel the fear in the air, thick and heavy. One night, I heard voices calling my name. Ailaurun, come to us, they whispered from the shadows of the trees. I wanted to ignore them, but I felt drawn to the sound. The village was quiet, but the voices kept calling. I followed them, my heart pounding in my chest. I reached the edge of the forest, where the trees twisted and bent as if they were alive. The voices grew louder, swirling around me. You must fulfill your destiny, they said. You are the key. Just then I felt a cold breeze, and it chilled me to my bones. I realized I wasn't alone. Shadows moved between the trees, watching me. Panic surged inside me. I don't want this, I cried out, but the shadows only grew closer, whispering dark promises. When I returned home, the villagers were waiting, eyes filled with fear and anger. They believed I was cursed, that my birth had brought misfortune. You must leave, they demanded, voices trembling. You bring doom to us all. I felt the weight of their words, crushing down on me. The name, Ailaurun, meant something terrible, something I didn't yet understand. I stood at the edge of the village, torn between the life I knew and the fear of what I might become. As the sun set, the shadows stretched long behind me, and I knew I had to make a choice, leave everything behind, or embrace the darkness that followed me. I walked away from the village that night, the whispers of the trees echoing in my mind. Darkness followed me like a living thing, curling around my feet, creeping into my soul. I tried to ignore it, but it was always there. The forest felt alive as I wandered deeper. The air grew colder, the night heavier. I didn't know where I was going, but something guided me, pulling me forward. My thoughts spun with questions. What was I? Why was I different? Since I could remember, strange things had followed me in shadows. Voices I couldn't explain. And tonight, everything felt even closer. What did it mean to be the key? Then, through the thick fog, I saw him. An old man sat hunched over a weakly crackling fire in the clearing ahead. He didn't seem to notice me as I approached, but I sensed he'd been expecting me. Something about his presence felt wrong. The way the shadows clung to him, how the light of the fire barely touched his skin. And then I saw it. A figure behind him, barely visible in the darkness. It wasn't human. The figure was gaunt, with hollow eyes and limbs too long for its body. It crouched behind the old man, watching me with an unsettling stillness, its lips stretched into an unnatural smile. I froze. The old man spoke, his voice raspy and broken, like wind whistling through dead branches. Ailaurun, I've been waiting for you. I stepped back, my heart hammering in my chest. Who are you? He chuckled softly. The sound was chilling in the still air. I am someone who knows the truth about you, about your name. His words sent a shiver down my spine. The creature behind him didn't move, but its eyes followed me. You know what I am, I stammered, my voice barely a whisper. More than you do, he replied, still not turning to face me. Your grandfather, he saw it too. That's why he gave you that name. I swallowed hard, dread curling in my stomach. What does it mean? The fire flickered, casting long shadows across the clearing. The old man finally turned his head, just enough for me to catch a glimpse of his face, pale, sunken, and far too old for any living man. It means you are bound to something older than time, he rasped. Something that cannot be escaped. The creature behind him shifted, crawling closer on all fours, its eyes locked onto mine. I wanted to run, but my feet felt rooted to the ground. You are the doorway, Lauren, the old man said, his voice now barely more than a hiss. And that which waits beyond the door is hungry. The wind picked up, swirling leaves around me as the trees groaned. My skin prickled with the weight of unseen eyes. Suddenly the creature lunged forward, its grotesque form moving in a blur. I stumbled back, barely able to react as it stopped just inches from my face. Its smile widened, revealing rows of jagged black teeth. Do you hear it? The old man whispered. It calls to you. I could hear it now, low, guttural voices rising from the depths of the earth, calling my name. A terrible understanding dawned on me. The darkness wasn't just following me. It was within me. You must choose, the old man said, his eyes gleaming with something dark and ancient. Will you open the door? Or will you fight what you are? Terror surged through me, but beneath it a strange sense of power stirred, as if the shadows themselves were awakening inside my veins. The voices were louder now, urging me forward. And in that moment, I knew. I couldn't turn back. I stretched forth my hand to touch the creature. Then everything went dark. I felt something, or someone, pull me away.